geologists first discovered the greatest element in the world in the Ural Mountains, but it wasn't until 1797 that the French chemist Louis Vauquelin isolated pure chromium by mixing it with hydrochloric acid and heating the product, chromium oxide. He named me chromium from chroma, the Greek word for color, because I bring color into the world. Without me, gemstones like rubies and emeralds would just be colorless crystals. Coloring was my entire purpose in the 18th and 19th centuries, most commonly as the bright yellow produced by synthetic lead chromate. Potassium chromate was used in tanning leather, making photographic film, fireworks, and dyes. Sodium dichromate and sulfuric acid combined were used to clean glass, and chromium oxide was used by soldiers to paint camouflage on their faces. Pure chromium is refined with an aluminothermic process. Chromite ore is added to sodium oxide, which is then dissolved in water, acidified, and evaporated to create sodium dichromate. This is added to aluminum powder and then set on fire. When it reaches 2000 degrees Celsius, the oxygen reacts with the aluminum, leaving pure liquid chromium to sink to the bottom. However, my most important use is as stainless steel. Stainless steel is created with an alloy of chromium and iron called ferrochromium. Stainless steel is used to make pots, utensils, surgical tools, car parts, ships, aircraft, jewelry, buildings, machinery, basically everything, including the kitchen sink. I'm resistant to corrosion because when I react with oxygen, I form a thin protective layer of chromium oxide instead of flaking off as rust. I don't react to water in pure form, but I do react to most acids, and I'm highly flammable when in powdered form. As hexavalent chromium, I'm extremely toxic and can cause cancer. A court case about hexavalent chromium contamination inspired an Academy Award-winning movie, starring me and Julia Roberts. However, as trivalent chromium, humans require me in trace amounts because I help metabolism, improve cholesterol, and help insulin move glucose from blood to cells. In fact, current research shows that I could be used as a supplemental treatment for type 2 diabetes. Over $2 billion worth of chromium is produced every year. South Africa is the world's top producer, followed by India, Kazakhstan, and Turkey. I don't occur as pure chromium naturally, but as chromite ore. I rank around the 20s in the world's most common elements. Not as common as iron, but much more than gold. Just right.
Step aside, chromium. Tungsten is where it's at. Being discovered in 1782 by Juan José Duliar, after oxidizing an iron substance called scheelite, I literally changed the world. Literally brought light to the world. After finding a stable compound of tungsten oxide, I was immediately put into effect and named Wolfram. That's why on the periodic table there's a W instead of T. They'll never know my real name. After stabilizing the most common compound, tungsten oxide, I was immediately put to use for war-like reasons. I was used to make bayonets to help fight the Spanish wars. Ironically, with all the darkness and terror that I brought by being put into weapons, I brought just as much enlightenment, literally being put into light bulbs, as I am one of the few metals that has a high enough melting point to withstand that amount of heat and not melt. Found in a lot of places. Sweden, California, North Dakota, even all the way to South Korea. With continual research, I have finally been stabilized into tungsten carbide, which is the hardest compound of tungsten. So now I'm being put into military bullets, weapons, missiles, the silos for the missiles, electrical chips, computer cases, anything that has any hardness to it at all, considering I do have a 7.5 on the hardness scale. That's pretty high. Tungsten is mined, it tends to be in a tin iron ore, meaning that it is mixed in the same rock with the other elements. And the only way of purifying it is by heating the ore so hot that the rest of the metals literally melt off. After cutting out the extra fat known as every other element on the periodic table, I'm immediately fused with sodium carbonate and washed with hydrogen after, in which case you get the purest form of the good stuff. Now, I'm not all hardcore uses. I'm also used for things such as TV bulbs, or lamps, or doors, to keep out the other militaries from coming in and killing you. I could be the only protection.
Jokes. I'm the real deal. Discovered by Carl Scheele in 1778, but I was first isolated by his good friend Peter J. Helm in 1781 by reducing the white substance with carbon.
The source of me is the ore molybdenite, which you can find in Colorado, Idaho, New Mexico, and internationally in Russia, Chile, Mongolia, and there's about roughly 12 million metric tons of molybdenite around the world. A biological role that I play in is that nitrogen fixation enzymes, nitrogen reduction enzymes, male and female sexual dysfunctions, all that war crap going on. I was found in 14th century Japanese swords, and I was found in the Russian space program's Lunar 14 mission on the moon. Purifying molybdenum, it involves reducing me down from other elements by washing me with water, and then after you wash me, you separate me and the water to produce purified molybdenum.
Buy now!